Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress, live Wednesday night podcast. I know I missed you all last week, but I was driving home from DC, and I thank you, Diana Perkins, for filling in for me while you stayed in Washington and I drove home. So it was a great show last week with the ARC, but we have another great show for you, a new partner of ours coming forward with RAMP, and I cannot wait so you guys could hear all of the amazing things that Oak Street Health are doing and why they are so different and unique from everybody else. So welcome, Isabelle, to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you tonight and let everybody know about Oak Street Health because I think it's fabulous. Besides the fact that its colors are my favorite color in green. So I wore the colors tonight to represent Oak Street Health. So please tell everybody who you are and what you do at Oak Street Health.
Yes, absolutely. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to share with your audience tonight. My name is Isabelle RamirezBurnett, and I am a board certified health coach, national board certification. I work for Oak Street Health, and Oak Street Health is a primary care provider for adults on Medicare. And we have 132 centers nationwide, with 4 of them being in Rhode Island.
That is amazing. And, you know, I've been by a few Oak Street Health, and they're very, very accessible. Tell us why Oak Street Health is so different from all of the other centers.
Yeah, so one of the main differences is just in how we do healthcare. So first of all, we are a primary care center for adults on Medicare only. So right there is a big difference because we are seeing patients with unique needs. We're not seeing a wide range of patients that are very different from each other. The needs of a pediatric patient, a young adult, are very different than somebody in their later years who is on Medicare, and or even somebody who may be a younger adult but is on disability, and because of that they do have access to Medicare. So the first difference is that we focus on the unique needs of that patient population, the Medicare population. And then the mission of Oak Street Health has been to rebuild healthcare as it should be. I don't want to sound disparaging, but the way that we have developed into the healthcare model in this country, unfortunately leaves a lot of patients in the dark without access. And that's something that we are really working hard to change. So, for example, we don't just see patients once a year for a physical. Perhaps the typical way of doing healthcare is seeing that patient for 10, 15 minutes, doing something quick, managing medications, and then not seeing that patient for another year. And that provider might not know what the barriers to care that patient may have, and therefore may not be in a position to help them solve those barriers and have greater access to care. So at Oak Street, we see patients on a cadence, and that cadence is dependent upon the individual patient's needs. The minimum that we will see a patient is 4 times a year. So the providers will meet with that patient for the first time. They'll get a comprehensive history. They will discuss the patient's healthcare goals. And then they will put a comprehensive plan together that is unique to that patient. And then the patient will be seen, like I said, a minimum of 4 times a year, but often more than that, depending on the conditions that need to be managed, and also leaving time to do preventative care. To really get to know the patient at a deeper level, to know, again, what are those barriers to care. And we have systems in place that are designed to actually help remove those barriers. One of those things is, for example, transportation. So we provide transportation for medical appointments for all of our patients. So if the patient is coming here for a doctor's visit, or it's coming here to get labs, that's something that the patient has access to, our transportation. If the patient is outside of a 10-mile radius, which is where we pick up our patients, we will personally coordinate with their insurance that generally has transportation services in order to get that patient to our appointments. Another unique thing that we offer is a community room, and that community room is designed to keep our patients engaged, because one of the things that our Medicare population suffers from a lot is loneliness, lack of connection. They may not be able to meet other people of the same age, or may not have access to health education, fun activities, things of that nature. And that is something that, we offer at the community center. And we actually extend that service to the entire community. You don't have to be a patient in order to have access to our community room. And we do things from, for example, I do a health education series, which covers diabetes and high blood pressure, autoimmune conditions. But we also have a lot of stuff that is just fun for people to come to. Like today we had salsa dancing, and people come and get some lessons. Yes. We have things like, bingo every couple of weeks. We have crafts that the community can come in and have access to. So we also have integrated services, again, removing those barriers to care and making it easier for the patient to have one place where they can go for their for a good portion of their needs. We offer a lab in-house. Some of our centers also have a pharmacy. We have health behavioral services that the patients have access to. We have echo. I mean, it's just a very well done integration that allows the providers to not only manage the conditions that the patients have, but also be able to get ahead and prevent those patients from just spiraling down. What we say here is that our goal is to keep our patients healthy, happy, and out of the hospital. So those services, provide a way to achieve that for our patients. Another thing that makes us different is that our patients have access to a unified care team. So within, the possibilities, we have, of course, turnover, people move, people retire, and things of that nature. But patients will be always seeing the same provider, and that provider will have the same nurse and the same medical assistant. So the patients become familiar with the team that is providing their care. And also the team becomes very familiar with the patient, and that close relationship allows for such a good quality of care over time. So those are some of the things that, makes us unique. And we're very happy to be in Rhode Island with 4 centers and just providing that access to our patient population.
Yeah, Oak Street Health has a great center, and just from what you said, I have so many questions. But let's start with, you do patients of all abilities. Now you have vans available to pick up people who may have mobility challenges in wheelchairs and stuff like that. Your vans are equipped for that, correct?
That is correct. Not only are our vans equipped for wheelchair access and mobility issues, but our drivers are also trained to help the patients who have those issues, getting in and out of the vans and into the centers safely. Yes, absolutely.
And that's what I love to hear, because, when you're putting the most vulnerable population in the hands of somebody else, it's nice to know that they have that special training to help you in the ways of the needs that you have. That's why I do like Oak Street Health so much. When you have a patient in a wheelchair that enters your center, do you have ways of getting them out of their wheelchair to give them a physical, or do you do their physicals in their wheelchairs?
So it all depends on the patients. You know, as you know, some patients need to be permanently in the wheelchair. If the patient needs to be moved, then we have the assistance of the MAs and the nurse, and can are trained and are able to move the patient if necessary. But I know that the clinical team does their best to keep the patient in the most comfortable position for them, and do as much as possible without having to disrupt that.
Yeah, that's amazing. But it's nice to know that you can get up on a table to get a proper examination if that's what you choose to have. Because a lot of the regular doctor's appointments will not have that. Like my regular primary care does not have that. They do all of my care in my chair, which I should be able to transfer out of my chair. That's why going to someplace like Oak Street Health would benefit. The difference is I'm on private insurance right now. I mean, I have Medicaid as a backup, but I have private insurance because I'm married. Could you work with people like that, or no?
At the moment, we're not able to take private insurance unless it is linked to Medicare. But I know that is something that is being looked at for the future, and hopefully we will be able to serve, a wider range of patient population. But again, staying within that niche that we have, and be able to specialize and serve the unique needs of that certain population without letting the healthcare plan that they have necessarily be a barrier to that.
That's incredible, because like I said, you would get so many more patients still being in your niche, but yet we would feel more comfortable in a place that could handle us better. As we're saying, like I would love to come to Oak Tree Health right now. I can't, but with all the assistance that you have, now you were just talking about your salsa classes. Now I would love to take your salsa class from my wheelchair. That would be fantastic. But do you have any kind of support groups for people with mobility challenges or devices or whatever? Like, do you have anything geared towards them if they didn't want to step out of their shell and try salsa dancing from their chair?
So I know that there are some centers that do provide that. That's not something that we have yet developed in Rhode Island, but there have been conversations about putting that support group together. We just need to make sure that, the personnel that we have to lead those support groups are adequately trained to give the best advice. So that's something that we are working on in order to be able to provide, because it is an important aspect of, again, removing those barriers to care. And I know that our patients enjoy very much coming into the community room, socializing and doing certain things. And we want to make sure that everyone can have that same access and ability to do certain things if they choose to.
And that's what's, again, I'm going to keep saying this, but that's, again, so much what I like about Oak Street Health is when they don't have a service, they're already looking into it. They're already making plans to add it, but they're not going to add it until they have all of the players in place and all of the soup to nuts all done in a row before they add it. So that way they can have a successful launch of each program. It just makes it so much easier and seamless, and a positive outlook for all that are involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Are all four of your centers in Rhode Island the same setup, or does each one have a unique difference or value?
The centers are almost the same setup. So because we have a unique care plan, is important that each of the centers follows that model. So each of our patients can get that patient experience that we're looking to provide. There is a difference in sizes for the different centers, but they do follow basically the same floor plan, same accessibility. And then, the capacity is what varies within the center. So the smaller centers have less providers and less of a patient population that they can serve because of the size, but the layout and the model is pretty much the same center by center again, so we can provide that patient experience that we seek to provide to our patients.
Now, do you cover all of Rhode Island, or is there any areas of Rhode Island that you don't cover as of yet?
So anyone from Rhode Island can come to our centers. We accept all the major insurances that are, work with Medicare. The only difference, again, is the transportation. So we provide transportation within a 10-mile radius from the center. So if the patient is within that 10-mile radius, we'll be able to pick them up for any of the medical appointments. So that could be a lab appointment, a follow-up with the nurse, or it could be a behavioral health service appointment, an echo, whatever. If it is medically related, then the patient would be able to be picked up within that 10-mile radius. So that's our transportation service. But as far as us being able to see patients from, any corner of Rhode Island, we can do that. And because we have 4 centers, that are strategically located, we can pretty much cover almost the entire state in that sense. Our center in Warwick is still a little far from, let's say, Westerly, but we do have patients that do come here. And again, a lot of the patients' insurance will provide transportation services. So if that's a barrier for the patient, we'll take care of the coordinating of that service for them so they can come here and see us.
That's amazing. So you said that you will give rides for medical. So now if they just wanted to come to the center to socialize, they had to get there on their own. Is that correct?
Yes, at the time we can't coordinate, that extended service for the community center. But what a lot of the patients will do actually is they'll ask to coordinate their appointments around a particular activity that they want to attend. So, and we'll be very happy to accommodate that. So we don't have to have our patients transported immediately before or immediately after an appointment. So as long as they have an appointment that day, we can coordinate their pickup. So for example, somebody will come to a 2 o'clock health education class. They'll have their appointment at 3:30. Their appointment is at least 20 minutes. So we spend a lot more time with our patients. And then we have a grocery store next door that sometimes the patients even, go to pick up a few things, and then they get in their transportation and go back home. So we're very flexible in those terms. And, we try to make it as accommodating as we can so the patient can take advantage of everything that we have to offer.
And again, that is what's so amazing about you, because what the world believes is people of disability that are on Medicare, that we only live to go to the doctors. There isn't transportation covered by health coverage at that way to transport us. But see that Oak Street Health is going above and beyond to work their appointments so that they can still get their rides covered, but yet enjoy a class or two and go get their grocery shopping done all in one trip. It would be nice, if the rest of the state did that for other people, because we do want to get out other than, doctor's appointments. But you guys are amazing for going out of your way to do that. Can you list for us, so everybody knows, where the 4 centers are located?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we have the center that I am personally located at is in Warwick, and we are on Quaker Lane in Warwick, same plaza as the Christmas tree shop. And then we have 2 centers in Providence. One is in South Providence on Broad Street, and one is in Branch Avenue. And then we have another center in Woonsocket in the same plaza where the DMV is. And that's actually another unique characteristic of Oak Street Health, is that we strategically place our centers in areas where people have a lot more barriers to access to care. So it is easier for them to have that access. And that's something that we're very proud of. We make sure that we are right in the center of the communities that we serve.
And I think that that's amazing, because like I could use the Woonsocket one if I wasn't to drive anymore, because I would be 10 miles. I'm in Barterville, but yet I'm not far from the Woonsocket location.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you pretty much cover the entire state when you're doing that. What are some of like the typical appointments that you will have of the repeat customers that you have?
That's actually a great question. We do have, we name our appointments basically in order to determine what's happening in that visit. So another unique things, and I know I keep saying this, but they are really unique, is that our first visit, our first patient visit is called a welcome visit. And that, really says it all. It is a way for us to welcome the patient, and the patient can actually have that visit to see and experience what Oak Street Health is all about without even having to make a commitment to change at that moment. So in that welcome visit, what will happen is that first, the patient will meet with our patient's relationship manager. And that person is actually an expert on the different insurance plans and the different benefits that the patient has. So the patient relationship manager will go over all of that with the patient to make sure that that patient is really maximizing what they have. Healthcare is so confusing, and health insurance is, it's a labyrinth. So patients a lot of the times don't even know what their benefits are. So that's the first step. So they know what will be covered, and they're not surprised with anything, moving forward. So they will be greeted by our welcome coordinators, which will explain every step of the process as well. And they'll talk to make their future appointments. So after they meet with the patient relationship manager during their welcome visit, which they have access to, for the duration of the time that they're a patient, if they have any questions, then they will meet with the medical assistant, and the medical assistant will take their history, and do everything that they need to do for them to be set up to see the provider. During that first visit, the provider will spend at least 40 minutes with that patient. So it's very in-depth, reviewing everything that they, discuss with the medical assistants, going over their healthcare history and goals. And then after that visit is finished, the provider will develop a healthcare plan for that patient and put them into a category which will determine how many times they need to be seen. And I like to call that a light physical, because they're going over so much, but really the goal is to understand that patient. So that's what we call a welcome visit. That's the very first visit that every patient, has before they receive all of the other services that we offer. So then after that first visit, their welcome visit, if they decide to become a patient, they go for what's called a wellness review visit. So that wellness review visit will be their first physical. And during that time, they will go over that unique care plan that the provider developed for them with their information and with their input. The patient will be explained, how many times they need to be seen in a year and why, what things are a priority, what needs to be worked on. They will go over what are the needs of this patient. If a provider is telling a patient that they need to, get on a healthier diet because they need to better manage their diabetes, but that patient has no access to healthy food, they don't have the resources for that, then we're not doing anything. So if the patient needs a referral in order to have access to services that can provide healthy food for them, then that will happen during that visit as well. In between that, we'll have labs so that those can be reviewed during that wellness review visit. And then the patients will come in on the cadence that is decided based on what conditions need to manage and how much preventative care needs to happen. We also have, we reserve every day, same day or next day appointments for emergencies. So if the patient is, having a situation that doesn't necessarily warrant going to an emergency room, but they need to be seen right away, we have daily visits that are reserved so we can see our patients, very, very fast, and they don't have to wait a week or two for a problem visit that needs quick attention. We also reserve post-discharge visits. So if a patient ends up in the hospital, we don't wait again another 2 to 3 weeks to see that patient to review what happened at the hospital and to be able to get ahead of what needs to happen to avoid a repeat visit to the hospital. So we have those visits as well. So again, it's your first visit is the welcome visit. Then you have labs and a wellness review visit. And then your future visits will depend on the cadence that you're on. It will either be a wellness visit, which is your regular visit, or if you're sick, or a post-discharge, it'll be a post-discharge or a sick visit. But either way, our patients are seen by the providers much more frequently than regularly, because we want to make sure that we avoid that post-discharge visit in the first place by keeping our patients healthy and out of the hospital.
Well, anybody who's listening to this and doesn't see the benefit of joining Oak Street Health, I don't know where you lived under a rock, because there aren't any other providers or doctors that will go above and beyond for this type of community. They just don't do it. And I'll tell you, Oak Street Health goes above and beyond, from the transportation, from the kindness of the drivers that they vet before they put you in a van with these drivers, to all of the welcome staff that you meet at the centers, how they go above and beyond for this community to treat us like we deserve to be treated, like everybody else, and not just another number and pushed aside, or like she said, waited weeks on end for an emergency visit, or a discharge visit where you're still nervous, or you got a new piece of equipment that you don't really know how to use because the doctors rushed you out of there so fast that they didn't explain it thoroughly to you. They will do all of this to you. So like I said, anybody who's listening to this that has been to a healthcare provider and doesn't see the benefits here, I don't know where you've been living, but you definitely need to check out Oak Street Health. Go to their welcoming, because they do amazing things for this community. What are some of the other things that people need to know about that makes you stand out from the rest?
So some of the things besides what I just mentioned is the closeness of the community that we have in here. So there's the community of patients and community members that come to the community room that we do activities together, and health education and fun things together. But, I speak from experience. Everyone who works here is really, really invested into patient care, and making sure that that patient experiences what it needs to be for our patients to be healthy. To be happy, and to keep them out of the hospital. So we work as a team in order to be able to discuss our patients' needs. It's not a, disconnected type of environment where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, and things fall through the crack because, the lack of communication in the system. So we are able to take advantage of, the technology that we have for patient management. But beyond that, there is a great link of people's resources that work together to manage our patients and to provide patient care. Our healthcare team huddles every day. and they go over, what's coming up for the day, what type of patients do we have. We have the type of environment where, the medical assistant or the nurse and the provider and the behavioral health services are not just communicating via email, but just not being personal about that patient care. But even though we're a nationwide company, our centers are designed in a way where our healthcare team talks to each other face to face. And, so, the doctor can go to the nurse's office and discuss a patient face to face. It's not an impersonal relationship. And that's how everything, functions within a center. Everybody has, that great communication and that level of care for our patients. And that's something that, may seem old-fashioned in a way, but it is so needed, because the disconnection that happens, as great as some of the technological advances are, and how much more we're able to process and to do with that, removing that personal touch and that personal interaction that sometimes is very necessary to maintain that great level of care and that continuity of care is something that I think it's very unique here as well.
And like I said, I mean, everything that you guys do, everybody needs to look at this from a point of view that you service the most vulnerable populations. You service our aging loved ones, our moms, our grandparents, our fathers, our, our uncles or whatever. You service the disability community who has been passed over and forgotten and tossed aside or rushed through an appointment. And you take that extra time with each and every patient with that personal care. That this is the place that everybody needs to be. And this is, everybody else needs to model their system after you, because your system is so incredible for the population that you service. Old-fashioned is the way to go, because you're dealing with the population that would rather have it old-fashioned. It needs to have their hand held, because they get confused over all of the medications or the insurances or everything that's out there. They need that extra hand. I mean, I know when I leave an ER visit or a hospital stay and I'm coming home with 10 new prescriptions and 2 new machines and stuff, they don't explain everything the way you have to. And you're thinking, I've been in here for 2 weeks or 7 days or however long you've been in the hospital, I just want to get the hell out of here. Let's be honest, that you're not really paying attention either, that at least with Oak Street Health, you have that service that will take the time to go over it and go over it and go over it if that needs to be done for each and every patient. I can't thank you enough for the model that you have set up for this system, and why I'm so passionate that I couldn't wait to have you on my show, because I so believe in what Oak Street Health does. And as soon as they take my insurance, I'm going to be a patient myself. But I do talk to and work with a lot of people who do use your services. And I can honestly say, I have not heard a bad word yet. And that is such a refreshing thought, because the first thing you hear when you go to the doctors or an ER visit or something is all of the negative stuff that you hear. I have a few stories myself. I have probably a few hundred stories myself, personally, but thank you for everything that you do and all of the community services that you provide. And like I said, just going and meeting some of your staff was truly, there is uplifting, as you're saying. Like, this isn't just you talking to promote Oak Street Health. This is the real deal. This is what really goes on in these centers. And I want people to understand that this is real life. This isn't her trying to sell this. This isn't me trying to sell this, because, I've talked about places that I just don't believe or support. This one, I truly throw my whole heart and soul behind. And I couldn't tell you how many patients to Oak Street Health, because they do it right. And I'm so glad that you guys do it right. Is there anything else or ways of contacting your centers, or is there a website that people can use? Like, what is the best way to get started and start that welcoming visit?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. And just going a little bit back on what you just said, our mission really is to rebuild healthcare as it should be. And for the patients who may be the prospective patients who may be listening, we don't just service the population that a lot of healthcare providers deem as difficult to service, but we actually seek that population because we believe that if we can have this model of care for that population, then we can show that that model is very viable and that patient population deserves to be serviced in the utmost level, with the utmost level of care as well. So the best way to, become a patient or experience a welcome visit so you can see for yourself how we do things is to contact, someone like me who works with patient outreach, because my position is really designed to explain to the patient all of the things that makes us different, how their care will be handled, and what they can expect, all the different services that we offer. You can see our general website, which is oakstreethealth.com, but you can email me directly, and that is Isabelle.Burnett@oakstreethealth.com. And my first name is spelled Isabel, and my last name is Burnett. So again, that's Isabelle.Burnett@oakstreethealth.com. Or you can also reach me directly at 401-359-4933. I'm often obviously with patients, so if I don't respond right away, please leave me a message, send me a text, and I'll be sure to contact you as soon as I am able to, and get the ball rolling if you want to, check out our services. We do not do pressure here. What we're looking to do is to service the patient. We have people that have come to the community room for months, and, perhaps they are happy with their current provider and they just come for the opportunity to meet with others, to have fun, to have, educational services that we provide for the community. And perhaps in the future, something changes and, they decide to come here, but we do not pressure people to do that. When they come, we offer open houses. The next one will be July 14th from 12 to 2 p.m. And that is at our Warwick Center, which is 300 Quaker Lane in Warwick. And at that open house, people are able to, see what we do in the community room, but they also can meet with the providers, get to know the providers, talk to them, talk to our staff, enjoy some food with us, and it's just a low-key opportunity for people to really see what we're about and to get to meet us. So, again, contacting us at Isabelle.Burnett@oakstreethealth.com. My phone number is 401-359-4933. Or come meet us on July 14th at the open house, and we'll be able to, give you all the information that you need. And again, absolutely no pressure. Just come hang out with us. We'd love to have the community here.
I put all of that information in the chat while we were talking. So all of that information on ways to contact you. And just so you know, there might be a surprise visitor at the July 14th open house. I may show up to talk to
Wonderful.
and meet and greet all of the clients that come on down. And we'll do some live streams from the open house, because I believe in this center that much that this is worth my time to show up at. So you may come down and not only meet all of these wonderful people at Oak Street Health, but you'll get to come out and actually see and meet me, because I will be there as well. So I am so excited for everything that you do. Give us in 1 to 2 minutes why, I don't know why anybody wouldn't join at this point, but give us your final plea of why everybody should use Oak Street Health.
Yeah, fantastic. Just to do a recap. So we specialize in the Medicare population. So whether you are there by ways of age or disability, we are taking care of the unique needs of the Medicare population. We are striving to remove the barriers to care. So whether that is transportation, that is having, community time and not being alone all the time, having access to behavioral health services, having one place where you can go and do a lot of your, take care of a lot of your healthcare needs in one place, and having a team that really knows you as a patient and knows your needs, your goals, and takes all of that into account in order to provide the best level of care possible. Again, having a healthcare team that doesn't just see you once a year and gives you a prescription and sends you on your way, but a team that is invested in keeping you happy, healthy, and out of the hospital so you can come in more often and enjoy community time with us. And so that, you can feel that your age is advancing, but your health ailments are not. And you can continue to do the things that you enjoy in life, because that's really the point of it all.
Absolutely. And like I said, if you have not checked out Oak Street Health, do yourself a favor, do your loved ones a favor, and make sure you make the introduction, because I'll tell you, Oak Street Health gets about 1,000 thumbs up from Ramp and me personally. So you need to be part of these centers and come out and visit on July 14th from 12 to 2 at the Warwick Center. And I will come out and meet and greet you as well, because it's that important for you to get the proper care that you need in a center that treats your loved ones or your people of disability with the utmost respect, care, and love as you would give them yourself. I thank you so much, Isabelle, for joining me tonight on the show. Like I said, I love everything that Oak Street Health does, and Ramp is a huge supporter and sponsor, and likewise the other way around. So working together just makes it even better. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be out here today. And hopefully a lot of people will be contacting you over the next few weeks and further to make sure that their loved ones are taken care of in the best way possible. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us.
I welcome everybody back with me last week for my last podcast. I am taking July off for podcasts so I can get ready for the national competition. So next week we are ending on a high note with Maria Samini, the new director of Healthy Aging, the Office of Healthy Aging. We will be talking to Maria Samini, and I'm really looking forward to that conversation. But we may be having a guest host for the first couple of weeks of July. Diana may be back having a couple of podcasts herself, but this will be my last one. Next week will be my last one until August. So we welcome you all back, and I can't wait to see you all soon. And as I always say, don't just sit there, make a difference. Have a great night, everybody.
To take home the Golden Gloves, you've got to put in the work, and you've got to be tough as nails. Ashley Kalis was driven to achieve. Today, Kalis is still fueled by that same hope, grit, and determination. A mother of 3 school-aged boys and successful business owner who ran testing and vaccination sites across the state. Kalis is the fighter Rhode Island needs right now because it's time for a change. Ashley Kalis for governor.